Hello, and welcome to that Eurovision podcast, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. My name is Rory, and I'm not doing too bad today. It's kind of overcast and a little bit showery, but it's the weekend at the time of recording, and it's just time to sort of relax, because you know what? We're starting to come out of lockdown a little bit, but at the same time, like we haven't got anything better to do with our lives, so you know what, it's fine. And joining me,
Jazzy, haven't really done anything today. Just a quiet Sunday which I've been doing every Sunday and will continue to do every Sunday until I feel like it's safe.
yes, public health safety number one, please stay
Yeah.
inside if that's okay.
Stay safe, protect the NHS, save lives.
Yeah, stay local, stay alert.
And hi, it's Rosie, and I am very happy because I am currently sat with a companion to be recording today. And that companion is my bizarre mix of dog breeds, Rufus. So if you hear anything going in the background, that's going to be him.
Aww, we love doggos
Right now,
on
he's
this.
completely flaked out asleep.
We love doggos on this podcast. Honestly, if Rufus can be the official mascot of this entire
Yes.
podcast, and we're here for it.
He's a very good boy.
He a big boy. He a long boy, but he a good boy.
He is a very long boy.
Oh, and Tim here. It's quite a sunny day where I am. Pun intended. Yes, it's been all good. It's feeling quite refreshed, and I am ready for this episode. So I am gonna let Rory take it away.
Take it away. Take it away.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that we're all very relaxed and everything, because I'm pretty sure that this would be the sort of vibe that we'd want to be if we were going to the country that we're going to be talking about this episode, and that is the mighty fine Italia. Da, 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 da. Allora, da, 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 da. Allora. Oh, allora. Oh dear.
No.
We have to stand. We have to stand Toto Cotugno. So Italy has been sort of one of the main participants in Eurovision. It's part of the Big Five, and in its history, it's managed to score 2 wins in 1964 with Gigliola Cinquetta, I think is her name. I'm sorry for butchering. Cinquetti, that's it. I apologize for my terrible butchering of Italian names. I do not speak Italian. And Toto Cotugno with Insieme 1992. And yeah, and then we had a bit of a break with Italy from 1998 to 2011. And since then, Italy has become one of the powerhouses of Eurovision, scoring practically every single year, with the exception of 2014 and 2016, every single year has been a top 10 result. So that in itself shows that they are not here to be just messing around with. So just kind of like kicking things off, I guess. Like, what are some of like the standout Italian songs that you just like immediately gravitate towards?
Oh, I can think of one.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you can hear that. But yeah, if you didn't hear the clap, but yeah, I say the recent Italian entry, Soldi. Mahmood is just an awesome person and an artist, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. And with that, he's a really genuine artist, and he's really, I don't know, his music just kind of relates to what is now and all of like these social issues sometimes that people can relate to, and also the fact that he's just great and the Eurovision fandom loves him. I mean Mahmood giving Italy their best result since they've returned in 2011, actually just being on par. I mean, imagine Italy winning Eurovision finally again. That would be nice.
Be lovely, wouldn't it? It's deserved.
They've deserved it so many of the years that they've been back, and I
It's-
feel like it's just a matter of time.
I only realised very recently, actually, that the point gap between Duncan and Mahmood was actually quite slim. I think it was like 19 points or something, and
Oh,
that
wow.
that really shows a lot, because Arcade was like this massive like fan favourite, and everybody assumed it would win, and it did.
But not to the same level.
Mahmood was very, 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 very close. I don't think anybody really thought anybody would come close. So, because I didn't know it was as slim as that. I thought, it would be about 50 points.
Well, I think it wasn't initially that, wasn't it? Like before the whole point system kind of ended up getting completely shifted because of Belarusian jury.
Belarusian jury.
Yeah. So probably before then it was probably a little bit bigger than what it was, but even then it just shows though that like Italy's just been serving quality, you know. Also, Mahmoud, step on me, please.
Because it really does feel like that win is coming. It's just when it comes.
Yeah, definitely. It should have come within the past 10 years for me, but
they've been my number one country many, many years since their return. And actually going back more recently through their older entries, there are some absolutely beautiful ones in there. There are some really, absolutely sort of lovely entries. Fairly recently, my new discovery, and I feel kind of bad for saying this is a new discovery of mine, but Non Holeta, their first win, is beautiful. It is so lovely. And as well as that, like, they've not put a foot wrong since they came back. And every single entry that they have submitted is just beautiful. And I love all of them. They're all very timeless, I think. And I think
they're all very memorable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's something very unique about all of them in a way that I just absolutely adore. If you've listened to our 2018 retrospective, you'll have already heard me crying over Non mi avete fatto niente, which is still my favourite of theirs, but I could list so many.
And this is why Italy is seen as Rosie's stan country.
Yeah.
Like, every single, like, entry that Italy sends is different from the last, I feel. And, like, you never get the same type of song with Italy, but you always get the same quality song.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, like, even sort of going back to, like, you know, the early years, the fact that Italy, even on, like, their third time being in the contest, they gave us such, like, an amazing song of Volare. Oh. See, like, the fact that has just turned into one of the most easily recognizable Eurovision songs in itself shows its ability to deliver strong and durable music, you know, stuff that isn't going to sort of be out of fashion in 10-20 years time, you know. Obviously there's some other good songs that are really in there. I really do like Fiumi di Parole, Jalisa, 1997. Yes. I think it was a really underrated entry, and to be honest, I would have seen that almost sort of contest the win, really. But obviously, Katrina and the Waves just had to do that a little bit too well, didn't they? But it's a shame. But honestly, since their return in 2011, there's only been two songs that would have actually I didn't necessarily like, but every other one I have really enjoyed, and I'll get on to them in just a little bit, but honestly, Italy is producing quality and sending quality, and do you know what? They should be easily deserved for it, and it should be rewarded, because, you know, if they don't get this win sometime soon, they're just going to end up not bothering anymore, and we don't want Italy to leave us again. But
I need this quality of music in my life, and I can't sit through every year gazillion hours of Sanremo to get it.
I mean, given the fact, like, okay, Sanremo is obviously what the Eurovision Song Contest is based off of, but I just love how the whole Euro fandom goes through the whole week of Sanremo, and the way that it, like, overruns every night for every day of the week, and people are still there and they still watch it because they want to make sure that
Like,
their favorite has made it. I love that.
it's on until like 3 a.m. our time every single night, and it's like it's still with everyone's still going.
Oh my god, I remember this. For this year, when I watched it, I was in the Philippines. And the final of it, if you watch the national finals this year, in 2020, at the time of recording, there were 8 shows going on that Saturday.
Oh my god.
And Italy was just like, and obviously I was in the Philippines, so I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was in a hotel with fast Wi-Fi and everything just to make sure I was able to watch it. And 8 a.m. I was on the beach. I was like swimming on the beach and like on the poolside pool just in case. And I was just thinking, have they finished yet? No, I'm gonna go swim some more and then check again. Nope. After 20 minutes, nope. Okay. And then it took them 10 a.m. our time, 10 a.m. when I was in the Philippines to declare a winner. And I was just like, seriously.
7 hours. Wow.
Yeah. And what's the most ironic thing is the result got leaked on like a broadcast on, like, you know how on the news they've got like the latest news at the bottom of the screen on the graphic. Apparently it got leaked there. This. And then everyone was just like, and I was like, you made us stay up late for it to be leaked.
For the broadcaster to leak it themselves.
That's so funny.
That's just like a pro hack move. That's a great life hack. Do you know what? If you just want to save yourself the hassle, then just like slowly like leak it about 2 hours into the show and just see if anyone picks up on it. But
yeah, I think when they leaked it, there was definitely still like an hour left.
The way that
I think people at the time were very, very annoyed because like I think they'd stayed up all night, and that the only thing they had to stay up for was to see if this result had actually been leaked.
Oh my god!
And it had.
This is why I was lucky enough to not have watched Sanremo this year, because I was too busy going out for my friend's birthday. But I was still able to come back at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was actually able to say, "Oh, it's still going." Okay. I have to say, I don't know. Obviously, you guys watch Sanremo, and you get very invested in it all. For me, I don't know if this is the same for you, but do you guys love it when it's when they start doing the final sort of general classification names, and then like as the numbers go up, the crowd just becomes more and more irate about like this country being in here, and then this performer being like 17th place, like, what are you doing? Like, it's the most typically Italian thing, just like making a big fuss about nothing.
So I have an Italian colleague, and he used to tell me all the time about how angry Italians were. And I never got it because he was the chillest guy that I have ever met. And then I start watching things like that, and suddenly you see it, and it feels so sort of literally I imagined.
You just wouldn't expect them to be really angry because, you know, like they've got the sun and they've got the sea, they've got good food, like they have everything that you need. So why would they be getting so irate? And then obviously when you just watch something like that, I have to say that the most memorable sort of moment for that for me is the 2019 one, when it came down to like 4th place, and I can't remember what her second name was, but Loredana came in 4th place, and then the whole theater just erupted in a sea of boos and like jeering, and like literally like the whole sort of like the host literally had no idea what to do because they couldn't do anything. They were just like, we can't do anything. This is just the will of the people. And I was just
now
like,
they understand how we feel.
Literally, the way that I laughed,
Brexit.
the way I laughed. Oh dear. But obviously, sort of with Sanremo being sort of the predecessor for Eurovision, I wonder like why do people love sort of Sanremo as like a sort of selection process? Because sometimes, well, it's not all the time, but sometimes the actual winner of the show doesn't actually choose to actually go to Eurovision.
I think in a way that's almost what makes it so interesting to watch and something that is so different to a lot of the other national finals. Because Eurovision's sort of a background thing to it rather than Rufus is having opinions
I
on
heard
this.
that.
The fact that it is almost a background thing, and it feels like Sanremo is so ingrained in Italian culture generally. And the other thing as well is that I just love the sort of variety of music that we get there. And so much of it feels timeless and just sort of so quintessentially Italian. And it feels very true to the host country. And I feel like in a way they almost have the freedom to feel truer to Italy because they don't have Eurovision as a specific goal for it. It feels like the artists are so much more allowed to be themselves, and I love that.
I feel like one of the reasons the fandom just loves Sanremo so much is because the songs are all generally really high quality, and there's definitely like there's so many like the fandom likes to pick out as like little fan favorites, and I feel like you get a lot of repeat artists as well, and I feel like that Eurovision fans like grow attached to those artists.
Definitely.
And want to see them progress and them do well and them go on to go to Eurovision. So I feel like for the fans it's like a bit of like it's like following like different artists' journeys. Also, I do think part of it is also the suspense about whether the winner will actually go to Eurovision or not. I do feel that's quite an attractive thing. Although it could be very heartbreaking if the winner was a very big fan favourite and then just chose not to go, and that would be really sad. I remember last year there was like this big petition for when we found out that Mahmood may not be going. There was like there was like hashtags and everything about him, saying that he had to go to Eurovision, and then eventually he did, and because he wanted a few days to make his decision. So
You won Sanremo. You are going to Eurovision. That is it. End of story.
Okay, I'm guessing it's time for me. I think for me,
Sorry, go on.
you had to do that.
I had to do it.
Okay, okay. For me, I think what attracts people to Sanremo is if you think about the Italians that watch it, like let's say our generation, it's something of a tradition, and it's something that we've grown up to, and the fact that when a person ends up representing Eurovision, their story doesn't end in Sanremo. There's still this big chance of equating into something bigger. So what I think is, it's something that's been ongoing. It never changes. There's always that sense of security and the fact that that competition will always be there, regardless of what happens. Hopefully.
Well, so far it's managed to work out pretty well so far. Hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, that next year it will still carry on, because I don't think we could even handle it without Sanremo any year,
I mean, there are rumors of it continue. I mean, there is news that it's continuing, but whether or not the winner of next year's Sanremo will actually head to Eurovision is another story. And also for the fact that just because you've won Sanremo, it's not always the case that you will head to Eurovision as they did in 2014.
Yeah, that's true, because...
Or with the same song as they did with 2012.
That is also true, yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why Sanremo actually attracts such a big audience. Like, not just with Italy, because within Italy, obviously, it makes sense, because it's been going on for like over 70 years at this point now. Especially within the Euro fandom, I think everyone really is intrigued by Italy, because it's not necessarily like the typical sort of national final format. It's finding something that is the song for Italy and then choosing whether or not that song for Italy should actually go to Eurovision. So then it's actually like becoming the most sort of representative song of like the overall Italian music scene. And I think in that sense, that's why we love it so much, because like there's so much suspense almost, with like how you said, like Nina Zilli completely changing her song in 2012, then I mean completely disregarding Sanremo in 2014 when we had Emma Morone come in instead. And then obviously 2016, Francesca Michelin, she didn't actually win Sanremo, she came second, but because the winners declined the invitation, she then got second refusal, and that's why we got to see No Degree of Separation on the stage in Stockholm. So I think it's kind of adding an extra layer of sort of suspense to it, and I think it's such a different way of doing things, and I think that's part of the reason why everyone loves it, because it's just diverting from the normal so much, and I think that's why you have to enjoy it.
I think that the sort of the separation between Sanremo and Eurovision is really fascinating to me, and yeah, the way that the way it stands by itself as a competition rather than being geared solely to find someone to represent Italy. That's sort of like an added bonus more than anything else. The fact that winning Sanremo is so prestigious in and of itself, I think gives a whole new sort of angle to it, and it's really interesting to watch that play out.
Because aren't the Sanremo artists like some of the biggest artists in Italy? Italy don't mess about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You always get the best of the best because it's the main competition basically
for Italy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, because I know that pretty much Eurovision in Italy is pretty much an afterthought, like when it comes to Sanremo, and I kind of like that because it's not your typical like national final, it's not your typical like selection, and even if the winner chooses to go to Eurovision, there could still be changes. They could change the song if they don't feel it's right, and they could also change who's going if they don't want to go, and then it's up to the Italian broadcaster's discretion out of people that want to go who goes. And like it just feels like we'll never not get a high quality song from them if we continue to use Sanremo as a selection, which makes me really excited for Italy's future in Eurovision, because if they continue on the trend they're going towards, they're going to get that win, and they're going to get that soon.
I really hope they do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not averse to having a couple of weeks in Rome or Milan or wherever they want to host it. Sure, they can even have it in Sanremo. I totally do not mind that.
On the one hand, agree. On the other hand, absolutely not Milan, because I have a personal vendetta against that city.
Oh, I love Milan. I love Milan.
I'm going to Milan on my way.
My experience in Milan involved me getting robbed on the train and then being sent from police station to police station to police station to police station for 3 hours.
Oh my
all
God.
Across Milan when I was supposed to be getting another train. And then in the end, it being about 9 p.m. and me and my partner finally having the most despondent McDonald's of our life. And that is why I hate Milan.
Don't
those
worry.
few hours I spent there, I just have no desire to go.
This is why you should go back and maybe stay there for more than a few hours with not much belongings on you.
Yeah. That would help.
Because I do the same with Paris, because I got robbed in Paris, so yeah.
Well, I'll be going through Milan on my interrailing trip, so hopefully anyone who's listening to this from Milan, please just let us make sure that it's safe around the time that I'm going, because we don't want to be robbed. I don't want to be in this group.
The worst thing for me as well is that the reason I got robbed is because I'd had to spend the night before in A&E in France because I was having severe chest pain.
Oh my God.
And because I'd been up all night and we'd gotten on the train, and we were going from so it's just sort of the French-Italian border, and then going over finally to end up at Bergamo. And I'd been awake all night, so I just completely crashed out and fell asleep, and I woke up and most of my stuff had gone.
Oh my god.
So that's a 24 hours in my life that I don't have fond memories of.
This is why you need to go back to Milan, make new memories, and then, do you know what? It should be fine.
Yeah.
Go back to Milan and make new memories at Eurovision.
Yeah, at Eurovision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's looking very likely that will happen. Fingers crossed. You never know. But after Rye decided to take a 14-year, technically unexplained break from 1997 to 2011, then when we came back, we got this sort of big sort of change in its sort of approach, because we had a new head of delegation, we had a new sort of like completely different idea of what the contest was. So like comparing the sort of some of the songs from like Italy pre 14-year break to Italy in the modern era, like do you think that like things have sort of stayed the same, or do you think that like there is like a definite sort of change?
Definite improvement, lots of improvement, and them returning kind of, I don't know, made the competition more alive again for something, as with any returning countries. But with Italy, they've managed to be consistent since their return in 2011, and I think that's what makes them one of the most successful countries in the 2010s. And the fact that, you know, since their return and their viewership increased once again, and having those factors in with like how popular their entries were in Italy, so having that as a reason, I think is one of the reasons why other countries are starting to up their game.
Rightfully so. It's competition. You gotta make the most of it, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, you've got to be the best to be able to beat the best, and I really do feel that Italy play the game the best, even though they haven't won recently, but they are what I consider like the ideal Eurovision country almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't even take themselves too serious. Well, like when it comes to Eurovision, like Eurovision really is not as from what I've heard, a big thing in Italy. But they still make sure they're sending high quality songs every year, and also I feel like they're sending songs that are very, very, very typically Italian. Like I feel like you very rarely hear any English in the Italian entries, which again I just feel like it's about staying authentic to yourself, and I feel like that Italy is one of the countries that is definitely best at that, while also maintaining the fact that their songs are quite commercial and easy to listen to. Hence why they do well with all of Europe.
Definitely.
I think
yeah.
it's interesting, sort of looking through the Italian entries as well over the last few years, and looking at the topics of all of them. And it's really, you're not just getting sort of love songs, you're getting sort of you're getting a song about an artist's response to terrorism, you're getting a song about Westerners appropriating Eastern religion one of the reasons I love Occidentali's Karma so much is the fantastic wordplay that takes place in that song, and it's so much fun about something that is actually a very sort of serious academic type of topic, and it feels like the artists have control of what they're doing, and we go on and on about this on this podcast in all sorts of different episodes so far about authenticity and artists being true to themselves and countries being true to themselves and sending things that really exemplify the culture of that country, and also the artist's personal stories and experiences and thoughts and ideas. And I think Italy is one of the absolute best countries at doing that. I think there is one other country that I think sort of rivals it, which hasn't had anywhere near the same sort of success. And I think the only other country for me that really does it is Georgia.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, they're just as good as the storytelling, aren't they? So like,
Oh, I love Georgia. If I'm to have like two stan countries, Georgia is definitely my other one.
that's
Like for me, if I had to compare Italy's like methods to anyone, I guess it would be Albania. But I just don't feel like Albania do it as successfully as Italy do, simply for the fact that they often revamp their songs. Although most years we're telling them not to do that, they feel like for Albania that is probably the best way to go.
well,
And it's not. And it actually shows, because the years that Albania don't revamp their songs tend to be the years they get their better results.
or if they do
Rightfully
revamp,
so.
yeah. Well, if they do revamp that, like if it's like not too much. So like for example, like say for with Theotokos, that's more like kind of just changing like sort of the instruments and sort of remastering that kind of thing. Like it's nothing
Yeah.
dramatic compared to like Parala, which then turned into Fairy Tale, which, as we had previously
Yikes.
discussed in another episode, was just not the vibe. But it's actually interesting you bring Albania up because I don't know. Actually, one of the fantastic people over at ESC Insight, Sam Ross, she actually had a lovely sort of interview with the Albanian head of delegation, and he Cleat Durai had actually said that Festivali Këngës is actually modeled off of Sanremo because they want to sort of encourage that sense of grandeur, and they just want to encourage that sort of sense of this is the Albanian song. And that's why they work with the person who wins to sort of go and make sure that their song is what they are most proud of, while also keeping elements that sort of still encourage the popularity of the song in Albania. And I think that's why like Italy and Albania are so comparable, because they're kind of two sides of the same coin.
It just, like for me, it feels like for one it pays off, and then for the other, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. And the times that it doesn't are often when they over revamp their song.
100%, definitely, yeah. Now, obviously, we've been talking very sort of highly about Italy's sort of time in the contest, and obviously that's fantastic. But we also have to sort of keep some form of balance. So, what would be some of the songs that you're not necessarily that enthused by that have come from Italy?
It's gonna sound crazy to say this because it's the one of the songs that didn't come from Sanremo. It's 2014 Emma La Città. I can't say it.
La mia città.
Yeah. It's just, I find the live a little bit shouty. The song doesn't really do anything for me. I feel like there's better. Like, I feel like it just gets lost in 2014 and it's not like your typical Italian entry. And you know what? It's okay because every country is allowed to have a bad year. And I just feel like 2014 was probably theirs.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, it probably makes sense though because they didn't go with Sanremo for that year, so obviously, like it was sort of diverging from their sort of selection process. Yeah.
I have to agree with Jazzy on that one, mainly because of the fact that of the phrase "don't fix what's broken." Like, they veered off Sanremo in 2014, and look what happened. And you don't see them veering it off again from 2015 onwards. Well, potentially in 2021, but who knows? But that's just the point of this: is if it works, if it's giving you consistently great results, use it.
Yeah.
Don't change it. I mean, look at Portugal. Do you really think they'd get rid of Festival da Cantal? No. Same with Sweden. Yeah. See, that's the reason. There you go.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, I feel like with 2021, I kind of understand because they're not allowed any. I think in Italy they're not allowed any big events until March 2021, so they can't have Sanremo in February. If that's if I'm correct on that one, I think that was the case. So I guess in 2021 I will forgive it. But even if they have Sanremo in March, isn't there still technically, if they had it in the first week, they could technically still use Sanremo?
I mean, you could potentially look at like 1, 2. Sorry, I'm just looking at my calendar here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe the 15th of March, because this is just the pattern of Mello. Because usually they select their entry 2 days before the heads of delegation meeting. So they do Mello in the first Saturday, which is the 6th of February, and it runs for 6 weeks, which brings us to the 13th of March. And obviously the heads of delegation is usually the Monday after, so the 15th of March.
So it's definitely feasible that they could still use Sanremo.
Oh, definitely.
Sanremo is only a few nights. What, 2 to 3 nights? So.
And there's 2 weekends they could do it. So it's definitely not out of the question.
No, definitely not.
But then again, it's a big event, so you'll have to look at the logistical side of things. It's when governments would say, yeah, it's fine to hold Sanremo. Well, big events. And then that's when Rory were like, go, 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 go.
Well, so far, at the time of recording, everything that we've been saying is somewhat correct. So obviously things will have changed definitely by the time that we get closer towards sort of January, February, March time. So maybe they might have almost sort of opened up fully before then, and we might have even get to have it almost at its normal time. But for the moment, I think it's in March, yeah.
At the same time, I would be absolutely delighted if they sent Diodato again.
Yes!
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
And Diodato is clearly wants to go.
Maybe if he comes back in to Sanremo,
I feel like it would be just such a massive shame if he didn't get to. So, yeah, I'd be very happy for them to say, hey, Diodato, you are entrant for this year. We'll either hold Sanremo later, or we'll hold Sanremo and not send the participant to Eurovision, or whatever. But yeah, I think I'd be absolutely delighted to see him back.
You could hear our initial reactions to when Diodato was confirmed not to return in another episode. But yeah, how about you, Rosie? Like, what are some of your sort of less favourite Italian songs, as this is your stan country?
Oh, it's really hard to choose, and honestly, I don't think I would go for anything that would be Since the Return, because I honestly love every single one of them. There are a couple that sort of let me down a little bit on the staging front, but that's sort of another discussion, in that I feel like they could have done something so much better with it, really. But looking back through sort of Italian history and things like that, I feel like probably the one that stands out to me, and their only last place, and I do sort of see why it was their last, is the third time round for Domenico Modugno, which was Dio come ti amo, which I just find very immemorable.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I find a lot of the time about songs that come last place is that they're not necessarily bad, they're just songs that don't stand out. And 1966, which was the year that took part in, had some really strong entries. We had Merci Chérie, which won. We had
other really memorable ones.
Song. My brain is not braining right now. I can't say I know the running order of 1966 right off the top of my head.
Terrible fan.
I feel I know, right? But yeah, I just feel like that song generally is not quite as memorable as a lot of other songs are, and I feel like it's clear that Domenico really, really wants to keep taking part, but
he had his moment. Get over it.
He kind of peaked with the first entry. He kind of peaked first time round.
Hey, at least he struck well. He struck gold at the first one, so do you know what? We can kind of excuse it, so it's all right. But yeah, myself personally, I and this is going to come as a bit of a shock, and I know Rosie isn't not necessarily going to like these choices, but most of the songs from the pre-modern era, I have no issue with. I think a lot of the time Italy was like an inequality, and that's why I have no issue with them from there. Once they have returned, though, there's only been 2 songs that I wouldn't say vehemently dislike, but I would easily skip them. And they are Grande Amore from Ivolo and Occidentali's Karma from Francesco Cabani. And the reason why I have them, right, so 2015, first off, I'm not a big fan of sort of opera to begin with. And then also, like, yes, they are somewhat good looking, but also at the same point, it just doesn't resonate with me. And I really kind of feel like I definitely missed the train, like the hype train on this, because I just didn't understand why it was getting such a big sort of hype with it. I mean, if someone can like explain that to me, then maybe I might be able to understand it a little bit better. But it's kind of just not the music that I would necessarily listen to. And then with 2017, of course, obviously there was a lot more to sort of the story and like, you know, the whole appropriation of Eastern culture by Westerners, and like there's a whole sort of plethora of ways that you can kind of delve into that song. But there's just something about it. I just don't want to hear it, you know? And I think part of the reason why it definitely did well, probably because of the gorilla. Like, there's no denying that would probably be the sort of thing that would make it memorable, because for people who don't necessarily speak native Italian, they just see the gorilla on there, they'd be like, oh, what's this? You know, like, why is there a gorilla? Why is he dancing? So maybe I feel like a lot of the staging kind of got lost in translation, and that's why Occidentales Karma didn't necessarily do as well as we thought it was going to do. But for me, it's just a song that I just find musically kind of, I wouldn't say derivative, but it would definitely, like, there's nothing new in there for me. And I'm ready for the slaughterhouse, so, you know, I'm ready to be completely demolished.
Like, for me, 2017 it was good before they revamped it, and then the Eurovision version I felt fell a little bit flat, and then when it got to Eurovision, I feel like the staging did as well. However, I always had in the back of my mind that this would not do as well as people said it would. I actually thought it would do worse with the juries than what it did. I thought, oh, this is going to come like 15th with the juries because they're not going to get it. And it's not typically a song that juries would gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
Albeit I was wrong. It did a lot better than I thought it would do in terms of the jury. But yeah, in 2017, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to win. And everybody thought I was crazy.
And then,
I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 sort of songs that I necessarily don't enjoy, but every other year, like, Rafael Gualazzi, I think, is incredibly underrated, and I think it gets unnecessary hate just because people don't like jazz, which I think is stupid, because, you know, like, we are a community that is all for inclusion and acceptance, so bullshit to that.
Hey, Rory.
Ooh.
Hey, Rory.
What?
Do you like jazz?
I do. Woo. For those of you who didn't know what that was a reference to the Bee movie. But yeah, and then I really do love L'amore femmina, L'essenziale was fantastic. Also Marco Mengoni, Step on Me.
Yes.
And then yeah, even up until like Fai Rumore, like that was a song like Fai Rumore was a bit of a grower for me, but now I've really come to value and appreciate it because he really sells it in the live version. The studio version kind of leaves it a little bit like wanting more, and I think that's what he definitely delivers in the final sort of like bit, you know, like when he's in the amphitheater in Verona, and then it's just like that performance, oh, gorgeous. But yeah, so just kind of like wrapping things up a little bit here. What do you hope for Italy in the future? Like what do you think the future has in store for Italy?
I think that they'd have their first win for a very long time, and they keep using Sanremo because they believe in the process of it. But if it can't happen in 2021, I would really like for them to right a wrong and give Deodato a chance. But other than that, keep doing what you're doing, Italy.
Yeah, I would really like to see them send Deodato 2021. Regardless if Sanremo can happen, he wants to go, and he won the chance to go. So I think it would only be fair. Plus, Sanremo isn't technically for Eurovision, although they do send the Eurovision artist. I don't see any issue whatsoever with sending him in 2021. He wants to go. The fandom wants him to go. Just let him go. However, in Italy's future, I see a Eurovision trophy. And I see it in the next 5 years.
Thank God for that.
They need it. They deserve it.
Definitely.
I think the one thing that I'd really like to see from Italy in the future is thinking about the staging of their entries a bit more and seeing how they can translate their messages into something that is a bit more sort of accessible for people who aren't necessarily Italian speakers. And I think that's where a lot of what they have been doing so far falls down a little bit. So I would really, really like it if they really try and get that right, because I don't think they've quite managed to click it so far. And there are times when they've gotten close, but never quite there yet. And I think once they can crack that, then give them that trophy, please.
Well, I mean, I must say, Mahmoud did do a very good job with the staging in sort of making it translatable and relatable to everyone, because just like him, it does hurt to be alive. So, you know, it does hurt to be alive. But no, I really do hope that Italy does manage to win at least once within the next 10 years. It has to happen, because if it doesn't happen, then I definitely see the viewership of the contest in Italy, and then like sort of like the popularity of the contest, I can see it going down, because, you know, they'll be consistently sending quality, and if they're not getting the results for it, then what's the point in carrying on, you know? So hopefully I can see it happening. We will be going to Italy at some point within the next 10 years. If it does happen, I would like to make a formal petition to make sure that Toto Cutugno does have nothing to do with it, because we don't need to have Toto Cutugno being like, Ireland 10 points. we don't need that. But
oh my god, like the 3-language thing is just, I have to laugh.
What's funny is that it wasn't the first time that happened as well, but we'll save that for another retrospective. But yeah, so I really do see a lot of good things on the cards for Italy. I just hope that it happens soon, because they deserve it. And you know what? I'm totally down for going to Italy again. Hopefully it will be like next year, like so I can kind of get a preview of all of the different sort of arenas around the place, because I'm going to Milan, Verona, and Rimini / San Marino. So, and Venice.
Just don't get lost while you're in Verona.
But what if I want to? But yeah, so but there's all sorts of options to go down here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do next, because Sanremo is a big institution, and I think, you know what, it deserves its sort of status as being a formidable contest, and yeah, we just need to keep going with it. So do you have any sort of final points on Italy?
Stream non mi avete fatto niente.
Especially
Deodato for 2021.
Send Deodato.
Yeah, pretty much everything that they've just said, except you know, Italian men, step on me, please.
And women, for me.
Yeah, women for Rosie,
all
men
of
for me.
them, all please.
Okay, we'll get Elodie to get on the way now for you there.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so that takes us to the end of that Eurovision podcast and this episode of it. I'd love to thank Jazzy, Rosie and Tim for discussing the fabulousness of Rosie's Stan country of Italy. And
It's much appreciated.
it's very good. You know what? We have to start making our way through everyone else's Stan country, so be prepared because, you know, we still have Tim's one to go through and we also have Jazzy's one to go through as well. So keep an eye out for that. So please do continue to follow us on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at That Euro Podcast. We're also on Spotify, and now we're also on Apple Podcasts as well. So you like, if you are an iOS user, you don't have to go onto the website just in order to listen to us, although it's very much appreciated. So please make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you know whenever a new episode gets released. And in the next couple of episodes, we'll be continuing on with these country retrospectives and year retrospectives, and who knows, we may have a couple of other surprises and extra sort of people you might want to have a listen to in the near future. So stay tuned for that. And so for the meantime, shall we say ciao?
Bye.